So will you start? Cool. How long is the time? 3 minutes.
Hello. Today we have a special guest. Is that you? Sorry, your alarm is on. Oh no, wait, sorry, that's mine. Sorry, that was me. Today we have a special guest. His name is Daniel. I'm just going to introduce Daniel quickly. Okay. And unfortunately, I can't use music because I have a copyright strike, and then I'll lose both of my two videos if I do another one. So today our guest is someone who genuinely does not believe in strangers. If you've already met him once, you're already friends with him. If you haven't met him yet, just give him 5 minutes. He'll know your life story, your career plans, and probably what you had for breakfast. He's one of those rare people who are easy to talk to like, and somehow comfortable in any room, whether it's a boardroom, a lecture hall, or a random conversation on the street. Academically, his journey wasn't a straight line. Perfect on paper route, but and that's actually what makes it interesting. He started with a bachelor's of business science in finance, switched things up with his third year, and ended up completing a bachelor of business science in finance and accounting, followed by a postgraduate diploma in accounting. It took 5 years instead of 4, but if there's one thing his journey shows, it's that real progress isn't about speed, it's about commitment. Today we're unpacking the journey of becoming a CA, the pressure, the sacrifice, and what it actually takes to become a CA with someone who's on that journey and questioned it and can explain it without corporate nonsense. Welcome, Daniel. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so I think we're just gonna dive straight in. So I just wanted to ask you. So why? I wanted to know like why you chose this path in the first place, and how much of that choice was passion versus practicality.
Okay, I just wanted to correct something in your intro.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, I studied for 6 years instead of 5, like you said. My undergrad was 5 years instead of 4. Switch, like you said. But like you said, how much of it was practicality versus passion? And I think that's what your question was. I think it was a mix of both. You know, like obviously TA accounting, it's a very practical career. You can make decent money depending where you go with it. But I mean, it's also was a degree of passion. Like that kind of was the thing I was most passionate about, which was dealing with money and dealing with financial decisions and making sure companies or investors or other people are financially healthy, which is what accounting and finance is related to. So I think it was a mix of both, definitely.
Okay, that's good. So you've done also Rayan says he's your biggest fan. So you've done your PGDA you've done your PGDA right now,
Yeah.
right? So how did you find the PGDA? Like, was it difficult? And like, what were you expecting going into the PGDA into your degree? And what were you wrong about? Did you have to make any sacrifices along the way?
Okay, so PGDA, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of the toughest years academically, if not the most tough academic year for myself, obviously. But I feel like for anybody that's stepping into accounting, I know a lot of people that like they stop here, they failed it maybe once or twice, and then they need to repeat, or that it ends up causing them to actually like give up on accounting because of how difficult it is. So it's a very demanding year, especially at UCT where I studied. Like it's extremely demanding. Like that first few months, or I mean, depending how you handle your work, you're working 6-7 days a week. Just finishing the work, making sure all the tutorials are done, all the work is done, making sure you're studying for all the stuff. So I mean, it's extremely demanding. Yeah, like I said, this is why a lot of people they don't get over this hurdle because of how demanding this year is, especially at UCT. I mean, all the other universities as well. I know UP and other universities also quite cutthroat. But yeah, extremely demanding, and it will test you. It will test your patience, your your connection with God. Even it's a tough degree, tough diploma. Yeah.
So what sacrifices did you have to make along the way, and why is PGDA like such a breaking point for a lot of people? Is it because it's like a different amount, a different volume of work that they have to do? Like, does the volume of work increase a lot?
Honestly, I think I mean, compared to undergrad, it's one step up. So I mean, it's basically just the fourth year of accounting. But I mean, it's increased complexity, but not only is it increased complexity, but it's also an increase in the workload, like you said. So I mean, it's now you have to work harder to understand the work, and you also have to work harder now to do all the work. So it demands a lot of you. And like, I mean, a lot of people, I can break them. You talk to a lot of PGDA students and they'll say, oh, Philip, I'm having burnout, or the amount of work I have to do. But I mean, what you put in is what you get out. Like I know in some years, like the pass rate's been as low as like 50%, maybe even like lower than that, depending on which university. So it's extremely cutthroat. And like, I mean, even if you put in the work, doesn't necessarily mean that you can even do well in the exam, because they can give you one question where you've never even, considered, okay, what what does this mean? How do I deal with this? And then in the test, like you just are completely lost and you don't know how to deal with it. So yeah, I mean, you have to have a lot of resilience in accounting. And if you want to study accounting, I will test you. Like it's a very tough path. I know a lot of people from first year all the way to second to third to fourth year. They drop out, or they don't make the mark because of how cutthroat and how demanding this career path is.
Okay, so if this like one thing I know about you is that you balance very well studying with socializing, and I'm just curious as how you do that because like you like how does one balance becoming a CA and or doing the PGDA with socializing or other sectors in your life, for example? How do you balance that?
Hmm. I mean, it's all about discipline. It's all about understanding what are your limits, and what do you want to actually achieve. And what do I want for myself. Um, so I mean, it is possible to have a social life, depending how you deal with it. I know some people don't have a social life, like at least for the most demanding periods of the year, because of, like I said, you work in 6 7 days, depending on how much effort you want to put into this diploma and this year. So I mean, like for me, it's just understanding, okay, um, this is what I need to do today. Okay, then maybe, okay, this time I'm going to be out with friends, and by this time I need to, start studying. Like, I mean, maybe it wasn't the okay, I mean, yeah, like depending how you want to deal with it, you can go with it incredibly. Um, I don't know. I don't think balance is the right word, but incredibly,
Disciplined, you would say.
yeah, completely disciplined. Where it's okay, I'm not going to go out. I'm only gonna study this period, and then afterwards, I'm going to have my break. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna have my social life. Or you can do what I did, where it was like I said, like you have the discipline. Okay, between this time and this time, I'm going to uh, be with my friends, or I'm gonna study. But then after this time, I'm going to go out, or I'm gonna go study. But you need to be honest with yourself. Like, don't play games with yourself. Like you have to be aware of what type of person you are. If you know you can't work at night, don't schedule stuff for late at night. But I mean, obviously, challenge yourself. If you think you can do it, always do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so this sounds very demanding, like getting completing PGDA, right, and passing with good marks. Sounds very
Yeah.
demanding, and I'm curious as if there was ever a time where you wondered that where you wondered if you made the wrong choice. Was there ever that time, or was it always like, okay, now I know what I want to do and I'm going to do it? Was there ever time like where you thought, okay, I might have made the wrong choice, the wrong choice?
Hmm. I mean, I guess it comes down to who you are as a person. Like me personally, I don't doubt myself typically. So it's like, okay, it's tough, but I know it's always doable. Like, I mean, you always need to back yourself in any situation. So, living life, you have to take note of your achievements and your wins, and, use it to build your confidence and know that you can achieve. Okay, I don't want to say you can achieve anything. Like, let's be realistic. Probably not going to be, at the first trillionaire to exist. I mean, it's possible, but
It is
probably
possible. You never know.
it's possible, but like, I mean, realistically, you know. So I mean, you have to be honest with yourself, um, and like be confident in your abilities as well. You know. So like I said, me as a person, like I don't doubt myself, and like it's look at PGDA though. That's extremely doable. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, but you
I
said
mean,
yes,
I
a lot
know
of
like
people do
some
drop
people
out.
will
Yeah.
say like, "Hey, yours extremely," it's obviously it's extremely demanding.
Mm.
but nothing's impossible in academia. I don't think anything is impossible. It's just putting in the work. Me, I don't, like I said, I didn't really tell myself because I know, okay, look here, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. So I mean, if you fail that first test, which or that, you know, any test here in the year, as long as you're being honest with yourself and reflecting and saying, okay, look here, this is what I didn't do, this is what I did do, this is what I could have done better, this is what I could have done worse, or this is what I did well, sorry. You reflect and then, you know, look back on it and improve, continuously improve, and, you know, be confident that you can get over that hill, because anything in academia is possible.
Interesting. So obviously, becoming a CA is different from your PGDA, right?
Yeah.
So could you just take us through the process of becoming a CA? Because now you completed your PGDA, right? You're on your way to becoming a CA, right? That's your main plan.
Yeah.
Can you take us through the process?
I'm gonna talk about it quite quickly because, like, I mean, it's fairly publicly accessible, all this information. But I mean, yeah, you have to complete a degree, undergrad degree, either BAc or BCom or Bachelor of Business Science, which is what I did, which was 4 years. So 3 years of that, or 4 years if you're doing a business science degree, or 3 years plus extra year if you're doing EDU, or I'm not sure that's EDU or extended. And then you have to do 1 year postgrad. If you didn't do a BAc or BCom, I know there's like a bridging course you can do. So that's the extra year on top of your 3 years or whatever you did. Let's say, I know some people, they may be in UCT, they didn't do too well, so they didn't qualify for Ep.3 financial reporting, the third one, which is your final year course, financial reporting. They could do a bridging course, which took an extra year, and then after that, then you have to do your postgrad, which is a 1 year accounting postgraduate diploma, which will allow you to sit for the ISC, which is the first board course. And then in your next year, which, well, typically you're going to be writing your APC, which is your another board course, which is I think it's case study based. And then so after you're doing your postgrad, you're doing 3 years of articles, typically. 3 years of articles, and then in that 3 years of articles, you're doing your 2 board courses, which first year IC, second year APC. After your third year, you would then sign off as a CA.
Okay, that's interesting. So you said you do your board exams, right?
Yeah.
So how does the board exams compare to your PGDA finals? Because I've heard that many people find the board exams difficult, especially the last one, the second one. And also, I want to ask about the articles. So can you do your articles everywhere, or do you have to do it at Psycho, which is, I think, the account, they register as you as an accountant, right? And they register businesses as places where you can do your articles.
Yeah. So Psycho, if you want to say it, South African Institute of Chartered Accountants, they essentially regulate the chartered accountancy profession, make sure that, you know, we are learning the things that we need to learn, making sure that what we learn in university is up to standard, what we are doing in our articles is up to standard. And yeah, just making sure that the profession itself is well governed. So you said, what about the articles, sorry?
I said, is it possible that you can do the articles anyway, or do they have to be like,
Okay.
does the business have to be registered by Psycho?
Yeah, so your articles has to be registered. You have to be registered with Psycho. Either you're going to be doing a TIP or top program, TIP in trading in public practice, or top in training outside of public practice. Training inside of public practice, that would be your auditing firms. So like your big 4, so like Deloitte, PwC, EY, KPMG, or your medium-sized firms such as Moores or BDO, or even your smaller size firms. So you can do it trading in public practice, or you can do it trading outside of public practice. That would be like your retail companies, like I think Pick n Pay has one, Pepco has one, Woolworths has one, or your banks. I think all the major banks, besides Capitec this year, I don't think Capitec has one. But yeah, Nedbank and Absa, Standard Bank, First Rand, they all have the training programs. So does Investec. And then, yeah, so that's just I think outside of your auditing firms, that would be your training outside of public practice. But they all have to be registered with Psycho. Yeah, but I mean, it's good that you have that leeway in terms of where you want to go with your articles. Like your top programs, you're training outside of public practice, it's a bit harder to get into because of how smaller the intakes are compared to the audit firms.
Okay, so you mentioned the Big Four, right? I want to get back to that later. I just want to ask a question about Psycho, right? So Psycho controls like almost every part of the journey. Okay. So do they protect the profession, or are they making the journey unnecessarily exclusive to certain people?
Unnecessarily exclusive. I don't know. There's two ways to look at it. You know, it's either okay, you're keeping the profession exclusive of the top people. Only the best of the best can make it through the journey, or you can look at it through you know, why we gatekeeping, you know, people from getting in this profession and, you know, making a living from accounting because of how hard it is to make it through this journey. Like I said, like, I mean, at UCT, there were people that dropped off every single year because they didn't meet the requirements to get to the next year in the accounting program. So, like I said, it's two ways to look at that. I mean, in Psycho and South African CAs, we are looked at very favorably internationally. Like I know, I think it was last year or the year before, we were voted the highest rated CAs in the world, which is, I mean, it's an extremely great honor to have as a CA, CASA, which is what we called. Well, not me, but like one day. So, I mean, like I said, there's two ways to look at it. Me personally, I don't know, I haven't like delved too deep in that question, but I do think our standards are really good, and that keeps us sound ethically and sound professionally, as good as, you know, possible. Well, obviously there can be improvements ethical wise. I know there's been a lot of scandals with the CA profession in recent years, where people may have been conducting unethical behavior and they ended up getting stripped of their CAs because, I mean, as a CA, you need to operate with extreme integrity so that, you know, you're doing a service to the public and a service to your fellow CAs, and you're not discrediting the profession. So the governing standards are extremely cutthroat, and, you know, for good reasons. We need to have good people that are governing our country and governing our financial systems, which is what CAs do.
I'm actually very curious now. You mentioned that previously we had problems with that there was unethical behavior in the CA profession. I'm just curious as to what behaviors you are talking about. Like, was there fraud? Was there...
Yeah. So, for example, like fraud or you know, creative accounting, where you're making the books look different, and maybe not necessarily representative of the company's operations and the company's results. So, I mean, you can structure your financial reports in a way that makes it look financially healthy when it's not actually financially healthy. So, I mean, for example, like you can have special purpose vehicles, so you can put certain assets or certain liabilities in a different shell company, which is controlled by the parent company, and it makes, so since the liabilities are off your books, it makes your company look better than is actually the case. So if you want your, you know, to maybe garner some investment from investors and shareholders, you can do certain creative accounting like that, or you can, you know, do other certain maneuvers like you know, investing in a certain research. I know like that can give you like tax benefits, or you know, the use of transfer pricing. That's also a very popular technique that people and companies use to make their company seem more financially healthy. So, for example, like I know Starbucks what they do, I'm quite sure they still do this, but they
you
like
can't.
they have.
Is this
Sorry,
illegal?
it is legal,
But
but
okay.
yeah.
But yeah.
So like Starbucks, they'll have different companies, different subsidiaries. So maybe one company is in Brazil, another company is in South Africa, and then maybe another company in a tax haven like the Cayman Islands or Guernsey or Jersey. So maybe the parent company, I don't know if Starbucks where their parent company is situated, but yeah, it's just an example. Like the parent company, that's where they're situated, so they profits get taxed in their country where the profits are low, and then maybe they are farming in Brazil, and then they sell that to a different subsidiary for a higher price um, than what the production costs were at a significantly higher price, so that the subsidiary which bought the coffee beans are paying a high price, so their profits are lower, and then they obviously getting taxed less now as a result since their profits are lower. Yeah, and so just a lot of creative accounting, but there are legislation in place. Like I know in South Africa, we have certain legislation where if the transfer price is above the market price, we will tax you like the transaction happened at a market price, and then also you'll get charged. Well, you'll pay I think it might be a dividends tax. Might be looked at it as a dividends. If it's a dividends tax on the price that is above the market price. If that makes sense.
Yes, but then I have a question. Just out of curiosity, it's like completely off topic. How are these? Do you know like these companies are doing that? How are they getting away with it?
Um, how are they getting away with it? Well, like I said, like I'm sure there's ways to like they can maybe make it the highest possible market price. Well, like it can be viewed as market price, even though it's extremely high. That's an example I can think of. And then maybe possibly like the lack of governance. Like I mean, for example, in different legislations, they can have different rules. Like I know in Panama, you don't have to. I'm not sure if they changed this. I don't think they have changed this, but you don't have to mention who the directors of a company are. So certain companies may have shell companies, or certain individuals may have shell companies in Panama because, well, sorry, registered in Panama because if it's registered there, you don't have to actually state who the principal owners are. So, like I said, different legislation between different companies. Like if you're a a, um, a regulator in the UK, you can't impose government regulations on a company that doesn't have operations to do with the UK. Like, I mean, you can obviously do a bit of regulation. So, for example, if the company is situated in the Cayman Islands and then they're selling the products in the UK, they can govern the selling of the products, but they can't govern the actual company because it's situated in the Cayman Islands. Obviously, they can regulate certain parts, but not all of it.
Okay, that's good. So they're basically just they're using the system to their advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I want to go back on topic. Okay, so when you become a registered CA, right, after your second board exam, I've heard that you have to do a test every single year in order to remain a registered CA, right? Do these tests they differ every year, or they're the same, or do they change with based on I don't know changes that happen in the economy?
So, look, I haven't heard too much of this. I mean, I've spoken to CAs and people that are on the journey, but I haven't spoken to them too much about this. But based on like if I had to take an educated guess, I don't think these tests would be too complicated because I mean, you already did all the hard work. Like why would you want to be a CA if you're doing uh, extremely difficult tests every single year? So I think it would be very basic, very bare bones uh, tests. And like what I've heard, I'm not sure if it's tests, but I think it's just you have to give a rundown on like what you're learning and what you're doing to stay up to date with the current practices or to keep your professional skills up to par, and it's maintaining with the times. That's my understanding of it.
Okay, yes. I said previously, like I'm gonna come back to the big four, right?
Yeah.
So after you finish your PhD, which you have, right? I want to know how much freedom do you actually have in choosing your career path? And I think you've already like answered this partly. And is the big four route still the gold standard, or is that changing?
Mm. So the big four, I mean, it's obviously
Yeah.
quite coveted. Well, like having the big four on your CV because of how internationally recognized is it? How internationally recognized the companies themselves are. So for example, if you're working for an EY, if you go work in Dubai or you go work in the UK, there's going to be an office there that are um, doing professional services like they're doing here in South Africa. So there's a name power to it. There's a brand power in having a big four on your name. But I mean, the work is a lot different compared to what you may be doing in a different training program. So I know a lot of people go into the big four route. It's quite straightforward, and like I said, you do have that brand power, and it's a coveted position to be in because of how recognized these companies are. But you said, is it the gold standard?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the gold standard would be. And how would you define the gold standard? I mean, yes, the training is rigorous, and like if we looking at the gold standard as you view the most favorably, uh, I think it would depend on the person, because if you're not too sure what exactly you do want to do after articles, um, the big four might be a really good choice because I mean it exposes you to a bunch of different industries, and you receive really good training,
Yeah.
and you get a lot of networking opportunities there because of the different companies you're interacting with, and because of um, the amount of exposure you're getting and the amount of people that you're interacting with. They take a lot of trainees every year. Like I think it'd be near 100 depending on which office you're in. I think Joburg,
Mm.
they've taken like more than 100 per big four. More than 100 trainees. But yeah, it really depends on what type of person you want to be. I feel like if you want to be in financial services, then maybe a financial services company would be the best bet. Like if you want to be in asset management, I know Ellen Gray has a program. They only take 3 though. I mean, so when you they take 3 trainees a year, um, or more. I think depends on the year, but it will be around 3. So you know the way to get in there, it's a lot harder than a big four. So it just depends on
Yeah.
you as a person on where do you see yourself. You see yourself in detail, was as a training program. But once again, it's a bit harder to get into because of how
Yeah.
small the intake is. Sharper as an intake as well. Once again, very small. But it depends on who you are as a person. If you are you sure what you want to do after articles? If not, um, then maybe the big four is the best choice or another auditing firm. Because I mean, it's not just the big four that are doing auditing. And I mean, I know like the smaller, medium-sized firms, like they do give you a lot of exposure. Like BDO, they give you listed clients, but they also give you smaller clients. So there's a lot of exposure there. So if you are not sure on what you want to do after articles,
Yeah.
auditing might be the route.
Um, you said that the big four obviously has brand power, right?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, if you worked for a smaller firm, right, would that affect future employment opportunities? And also, I have another question, right? So I know that you can work for like banks and Standard, but so, like for example, Standard Bank. But once you become a registered CA, right? If you like work for a bank like Standard Bank, I've heard that there's certain things you can't do as a CA. For example, you can't do auditing if you work for certain companies, right?
Yeah. So you said, are your employment options hindered
That was
by
my
not
first, yeah, that's the first part of the question.
being in a big four? I think it depends. I think if you're looking to go overseas, I'd say definitely. Because I mean, at the heart of it, you're doing the same work, you're auditing, but if you're going in a company in the UK, they're going to know who EY is, they're going to know who KPMG is. They're not necessarily going to know who, a smaller, local audit firm is. So I think in that sense, yes. But if it's, but I think it's different though, because you're getting access to a lot of different clients. So I mean, if you're in a big four auditing firm, but you only maybe audited 3 clients, 4 clients in a year, and none of them were, for example, a mining company, but you're in a small auditing firm and you did audit a mining company, you might have a greater chance to work for a mining company in the future
Yeah.
because of your exposure to them. So I think it just greatly depends on you as a person and where you want to see yourself. But internationally, I do think it would. But I mean, potentially not. Like I said, if you want to go work in, a mining company in the UK, and you had exposure to a mining company, you're auditing for a smaller auditing firm, then I mean, you might have as good chance, if not better chances. But I mean, I think it really depends on the recruiter themselves and how they are willing to hire. But I mean, there's different ways to look at that. And in terms of options being cut off, um, I'd say probably, yeah, your options are probably cut off or at least hindered. I mean, if you want to go back into auditing and you are at a bank, um, obviously the auditing firm is going to look favorably upon the candidate that has experience in auditing versus you that didn't have experience in auditing. But I mean, I don't want to say it's closed off. Like, you definitely could make your way there if you have some exposure in internal auditing in a bank. You could maybe, I don't know, make your way into financial services auditing if that's what you want to do. But like I said, once again, very much depends who you are as a person and where you see yourself in the CA journey. And the beautiful thing is like how wide this is, how wide the profession takes you. Like I know, I've heard like one of my friends, her father works like as head of a bakery in a retail company. So the head of the bakeries in the retail companies, and he's a CA. So I mean, the amount of options and the amount of exposure you get in the CA journey is insane, depending where you want to go and what you want to do.
You mentioned very interesting points there. So I have one question, and then I want to tie it into another question. So many people assume like once you become rich, CAs obviously they do many different stuff, right? So many people assume that CAs are rich, and I actually want to know how accurate this is. And you said your friend, her father works at the head of a bakery. Is the owner of a bakery, right?
Well, like in a larger company, is the head of he's the head of bakeries, yeah.
Okay, so does qualifying as a CA open doors outside traditional accounting like business ownership, consulting, or startups? Are these skills also transferable?
I mean, of course, like I mean, when you're in the CA profession, you're gonna have problem solving skills, you're gonna have analytical skills, you're going to have people skills, you're going to have communication skills with stakeholders and investors, depending where you go. But you definitely will be interacting with senior level people, and that is a skill that is transferable to any profession. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to say you can enter now any field that you want, uh, but I mean, if you have a CA on your name, I do think it definitely does give you a greater chance compared to another person that maybe doesn't have that CA but has a similar experience profile to you. So yeah, the CA journey is cutthroat. I mean, and it sets you up for things outside of that.
Uh,
So I mean, like you said, consulting. I mean, I think so. I don't think I know of any people that I can think of. I mean, I haven't like interacted with too many people in the industry. I mean, like I said, I'm just coming out of university now.
Yeah.
But definitely, I definitely do think it's transferable. I'm definitely sure I've heard of people in consulting that are CAs. You said consulting. What was the other? What was the other
The fir-
industries you mentioned?
like the first part of the question was I said obviously CAs do a lot of things, right? So a lot of people assume that CAs are rich, and I was just curious
Yeah.
how accurate this is because CAs they obviously do different things, right?
So I think greatly depends what you're doing. Um, I think there is a way for you to not be rich. Like obviously, if you're just coming out of CA, you're not going to be rich. I don't think anybody coming just out of a CA, or sorry, just registering as a CA is going to be rich unless you maybe have other hustles outside of your profession. But it's definitely a thing that, well, like with experience, your profile and the amount of money you're earning is going to grow over time. So if you're just coming out of your articles, you're probably not going to be rich. But like as the years go by, you're going to be earning a decent amount of money depending on which sector you want to go, in which industry you want to go, um, and how much work you're willing to put in. But I wouldn't say that every CA is rich. I think that's far from the truth. But um, as a CA, I do think it opens to a lot of opportunities that you're earning a decent salary for a stable job with a decent work-life balance. If that's what you want to do, obviously you can go full blown hustle culture and work 12, 14, 16 hours. If that's what's up for you, if you want to get into certain fields, yeah, then you can be incredibly rich if you go up the corporate ladder and you want to devote yourself to that. But I mean, I feel like for CA there's places everywhere in between. If you want a good work to life balance, you want a medium work to life balance, you want a bad work to life balance, and earn a lot more money, there's something for everybody.
So on this topic about misconceptions about CA, what do you think is the biggest misconception that others have about CAs?
Okay, so firstly, look, I'm not a CA myself. Like I said, I'm on the journey. I'm just about to enter articles. It's now December 24th, so I'll start working. I think like beginning of Feb after we write board exams, and then yeah, that's when I'll start my articles journey. But the biggest misconception about CAs from what I've garnered, like I mean, obviously I've interacted and I've networked with a lot of CAs, being someone that's studying chartered accountancy. I'd say the biggest misconception, I don't know, like I'd say maybe one that they're boring. I feel like that's one. Like I've met some very interesting CAs. Like not all of them are just like static people that are old and wrinkled and have no life going for them. I've met some really cool CAs that have had very interesting journeys, and actually are cool people that are easy to get along with. So I'd say
Give a
those
living example.
exceptions. Well, I'm not a CA, so I can't say that.
Okay. Yeah.
Hopefully, though. Hopefully one day.
Yeah. So I have a question now. So obviously, like some people they take the CA path, right? And they realize it's not for them. Is that failure? Is that redirection? Because earlier you mentioned that some of the skills of becoming a CA is actually transferable, right? So
Yeah.
if they do the articles right and they decide okay it's too much work, becoming a CA is too hard. What other directions could they take?
Hmm.
Because obviously now they've done the articles and they have a degree they have a PhD.
Yeah. So you said, is exiting the CA journey failure? I think it would depend on what you would call failure. You know, um, it's not a binary term of okay, did you get this? Did you get that? Maybe in a single lens, yes, okay, Did you fail on the way to be a CA? Yes or no? But I mean, it's not about being a CA. It's about, you know, your entire professional journey, or being the best version of yourself. And I mean, like I said, it depends how you look at it. What do you define as failure? I would say if you fail along the CA journey, that's not really failure. Like, if you never wanted to be a CA in the first place, how is that failure? Like, maybe your goal was to be a chef, and you realize, okay, this isn't for me. I would say that's success. Like, you learned a lot of um, valuable skills that is going to benefit you in your chef career or anything else you want to do. I mean, we learn a lot of interesting things on the CA journey. If you have an undergrad, you learn a lot about accounting, which will greatly improve the way you view companies and the way you view businesses, which is incredibly pervasive in the time that we live in, of capitalism and mixed market economy, which is what we're living in South Africa. So, you know, having those skills are extremely important. I mean, tax, you learn that, which is also extremely important. You, as any person in this economy that's going to be earning a wage, you're going to need to know some of those skills. And then management accounting, I mean, you learn very important stuff on how to manage your business, various production techniques, or, various inventory methods and various ways of costing. So, I mean, just things that can greatly improve the way you run a company. And I mean, we also learn things in economics and information systems, which, I mean, just are pervasive in the business economy. So, you, as somebody that's a working professional, all these things are going to benefit your journey. And, you know, like I said, it depends on what you define as failure. If this informed where you actually want to go in life, I wouldn't consider that failure, even if you stop along that journey.
Yes, 100%. You mentioned tax. Maybe one day you could teach me how to do tax evasion, but that's another thing. What
Not
is
allowed to do that as a CEO.
You're not allowed to do it, but I mean, many
Not allowed
people
to
do
do
it.
that. I will never do that.
Could help me though.
No.
Okay. So you obviously on the way to becoming a CA, right? So what is the most honest advice you'd give to someone that wants to start their CA journey? That's looking at and deciding whether they should or shouldn't.
Okay. The CA journey stuff. I will test you. I will have you on your knees praying to God if you are a God-fearing person. And I will challenge you. I will challenge you. I will humble you. I know, like, people that were, top tens coming out of high school, and then they enter youth, they enter university, and then bang, first year. First year they receive a setback. First, second year, or third year, bang, they fail a subject, and it will test you. I know, coming out of high school, the world's your oyster. You are, you know, finally given the opportunities to, live according to how you want to live. If you're, like, leaving your house for the first time, or, I mean, definitely academically, like in high school, it's very set, but in university, it's literally, okay, what you want to do, you can do. If you don't want to come to the lecture, you don't have to come to the lecture. If you don't want to come to the tutorial today, you don't have to come. If you want to watch Netflix all day, you can do that.
That's me.
So it's not very good, Mikhail. But yeah, so it definitely depends on, who you are as a person. You can take this journey extremely serious, or you don't have to take this seriously. Advice I'd give to people that want to get on this journey is, it's not going to be easy sailing. You have to be prepared to challenge yourself. You must be prepared to work hard. You must be willing to humble yourself, because this is what this journey will do to you, and it will test you. And not all of you will make it. It's a tough degree. staff diploma if you're doing the postgrad diploma or CTA. But yeah, just understand what you want, but also don't limit yourself. Don't tell yourself that this is too difficult, I can't do it. Always back yourself. Anybody with that has a working brain can pass PGDA, can pass undergrad in accounting. You just have to be willing to put in the work. Nothing's impossible. Like I said, nothing's impossible in academia. Just put in the work. Don't doubt yourself. Don't tell yourself you can't do it because of how difficult it is. Just, back yourself, put in the work, put in the time, and you can do it. You can achieve it.
I think that's in accordance with everything in life. You just have to keep pushing, stay consistent, and keep the
100%.
line. 100%. Yeah. And I just want to ask you one more closing statement before we end this. It was a pleasure having. I want to know, like, when all of this is over, what do you hope it gives you beyond just a CA title?
I mean, my goal in life is to be the best version of myself possible. Spiritually, personally, socially, um, integrally. Ethically, sorry, and just having good sound moral values. And I mean, I hope this CA journey makes me the person I want to be. I hope it challenges me in more ways than one, and I hope it helps me shape myself into becoming a hardworking person. I mean, I really have gone through that in undergrad and postgrad, but I mean, in my article journey, I hope that shapes me to be the person that I do want to be. And I think that will be what I will do. As for any person that's doing this, the CA journey, I will do that. I mean, you ask all these questions to me of, okay, how do I think about this? What do I do this? How do I do this? But I mean, it's applicable to every single person. So I try to answer it in that way where it's, it's takeawayable by every person that wants to enter the CA journey that is watching this video. I'm trying to answer my questions so that you can take away something from it. And it's not just how do I deal with it. So definitely, I think it will, put me through that. I think I'll have late nights, maybe sleepless nights, probably. And I mean, that's what this does. Like in articles, I know in Big Four, I know people are working till 2 a.m, working late nights. Weeks on end, months on end, in busy season or for a great portion of the year. But this journey will test you. Like I said, I've only gone through university, but I've heard stories from my friends and other people that I know that I mean this journey will test you, will put you in a difficult place mentally at times because of how hard this is. But all we can do is take it day by day, step by step, and I hope that's what it does for me. Makes me a harder working person, more sound person, morally and ethically, and just more willing to go through hardship and more discipline.
Thank you very much. I think that a lot of what you said today resonates with many people, like not only in terms of CA, because you mentioned other stuff about self-improving and becoming the best person morally and ethically and integrally, which I need some integrity. I'm okay, but thank you very much. I think a lot of people can relate to that, whether they're choosing to do CA or not. The point is that you have to put in a lot of work, and I'm yeah, and that's basically. So I'm thankful that you are on the podcast. I'm very appreciative that you're here.
Yeah.
Thank you so
No,
much.
of course. I mean,
No.
as a friend, of course. I'm a bit disappointed we couldn't get into like more light-hearted topics. Like more topics that would get a bit more laughs. But I mean, I guess it's an important subject. If I hope at least one person watches this video and takes something from it. If one person does, I see that as a success in my eyes for this video. But yeah, I mean, thank you for having me. I appreciate the time you're taking to, think of these questions and doing the research and actually trying to understand the mind of a CA. I mean, obviously this video is tailored towards people that are looking to go in the CA journey or on the CA journey, or maybe just looking to gain a greater insight into the CA profession. But I mean, you yourself are a curious person. You also wanting to get to know things about the professional world, which is what I appreciate in you. So that's a cool thing. That I mean, we should all have as people curiosity and asking good questions like you've been doing. And maybe one day I can join the podcast again for
Hopefully.
something.
Maybe next time it will be a bit more controversial. You never know.
No.
Okay. Yes, it could be. Okay. But anyways, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on the podcast. All the best with your board exams. I hope I mean, Allah make it easy. I mean, and all the best with working next year.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. See you.